If you're already working with a coach, or maybe you're just on the verge of beginning working with one, go ahead and watch this video because I will be sharing some tips that will help you to get the most benefit out of coaching. Hi, my name is Dr. Patricia Thompson. I'm a corporate psychologist, executive coach, and founder of Silver Lining Psychology. If this is your first time watching this channel, then check this video out as well as others where I'll give you a lot of practical tips that will help you to be happier and more successful in your career. You can also find me on social media. Links are included below. Here's my Instagram. And you can also make sure to like and subscribe and click the bell so that you'll be notified when I make new videos. Okay, so let's dive into this topic. So I'm an executive coach, and I have actually been working with clients for over 15 years. And I'm going to own it and say I am a very good coach. I have a lot of background and experience in coaching. That said, I can still say that there are differences in terms of how much progress clients are able to make in coaching. Even if you're an exceptional coach, you're not going to make the change for the person. And it's a collaborative relationship that you have. And so I wanted to share some tips that I've seen have been most beneficial for those who make the most progress in coaching. Okay, so my first tip is to take ownership for your coaching. It is a collaborative arrangement, but I will say that sometimes I will have clients who kind of show up and expect me to do everything. And it's almost as if they're not taking ownership for the changes that they say that they would like to make or for getting ahead in their career. And so they can show up for coaching sessions unprepared with nothing to talk about, and they just kind of sit down and expect me to work my magic. And so the people who get the most benefit are the ones who have a little bit more ownership in terms of the sessions. They've put some thought and reflection in between in terms of things that they might want to talk about, or areas that they're struggling with, or particular situations at work that they would like to get my opinion on. And so, they're doing their end to bring content to what we talk about. Now, of course, I can come up with things to talk about during the coaching session. But like I said, if you want to get the most benefit, then the more ownership that you take in terms of bringing what's most relevant to you into the session as grist for the mill, the more benefit you're likely to get. My second tip is to be open and honest with your coach. Now, I know this is probably, you're thinking it's a given, but the reality is that even if you have a good sense of rapport with your coach and you trust him or her, still, coaching is a very intimate sort of relationship. There are times where you might be admitting mistakes or doubts or fears that you have, or, things where you feel like you messed up or things that you're ashamed of. And so, sometimes clients might not want to share those sorts of things. Now, obviously, in coaching, as is the case with any sort of relationship, you get to choose what you decide that you're going to disclose. But the truth is that, your coach is probably, hopefully if you have a good one, really rooting for you. Your coach isn't judging you. Your coach wants you to succeed. But, with incomplete information, it's harder for your coach to be able to really have a sense of what's going on and how he or she can best help you. And I can also say, as someone who's been coaching for years, there's honestly very little probably that I haven't heard. So, I would just encourage you that if you're holding things back from your coach, to speak up about them. And, in addition to being open and honest about what's going on with yourself and, again, like some of the more uncomfortable emotions that you might be experiencing, I think it's also really important for you to be open and honest if you're having concerns about the coaching itself. your coaches are human, right? And so if your coach says something maybe that doesn't resonate with you, speak up about it. Or if there's something that's happening in coaching that isn't as helpful for you, speak up about it. Again, it's a collaborative relationship, and the more you can be open and honest in terms of what you're sharing with your coach, the more your coach can have an accurate sense of what's going on with you and help you to move forward. Tip number 3, I suggest setting clear goals with your coach. Now, sometimes people come into coaching and they have, for example, no idea about what they want to do career-wise, or they don't even know what they want to be working on. And that's perfectly normal. You don't necessarily need to know immediately when you come into coaching very specific goals that you want to be working on. But across time, I found that the clients who get the most benefit are the ones who, through coaching, can collaboratively work to agree upon goals with the coach. And obviously, as a coach, part of that is my job to facilitate you getting to that point. But I've also found that, there's the odd client here or there that is sort of resistant to wanting to set goals. And in my own experience, I've just found that to be, harder in terms of having any sort of metric in terms of knowing how you're progressing. Even if your coaching is sort of more open-ended and, more in the range of self-development, it's still helpful to know, what areas you're wanting to develop in, or, where you want to be, for example, in 6 months, things along those lines. If you don't do that, I found that what can happen is that it just becomes kind of like an ongoing conversation, but it's not necessarily always as targeted. And while that might be kind of just what the client wants, just someone to hear him or her talk, I found that if you want to move forward and get more benefit and actually have more to show for it at the end of your coaching, then it can help to set goals along the way. Tip number 4, and this is just a logistical one, I found that it can be really helpful if you take notes between sessions. So, depending on how your coaching sessions are spaced out, there might be things that happen in between that would be really helpful to discuss with your coach. And if you don't keep track of them, you might forget. Or you could have wins along the way, for instance, that again, you're forgetting about, and then your coach doesn't have the opportunity to celebrate them with you. So again, it's just a really simple thing, whether you keep a journal or you keep an ongoing file on your computer, just take notes as they come up between sessions about things that you feel like you would like to discuss, questions you have, like I said, successes, maybe things that didn't go as well. And that will also help you to take more ownership of your coaching, because it will help you to keep track of the things that you want to make sure to talk about during your sessions. My last tip might seem pretty straightforward, but I'm going to say it because not everybody does it, and it's do your homework. Okay, so it's pretty clear that people who follow through on their assignments from coaching are likely to make greater benefit. And I know that sometimes following through on homework might not always be as easy as it would seem on the surface. So for example, if you're busy, you might not feel like you have the time to do it. But, if you want to prioritize getting the most return for the investment that you've made in coaching, then doing your homework would obviously be really important. Other times you might feel like you're being stretched outside of your comfort zone. And so you might have some resistance to doing the homework. In that case, I would recommend talking it through with your coach so that you can help to identify obstacles that could get in the way and perhaps things that you could do to get around those obstacles. And homework could be everything from listening to a podcast or reading a book, trying out a new behavior, making time in your schedule to, engage in some sort of activity that you've talked about during coaching. Sometimes I might suggest that clients get an app to help to support some of the work that we're doing in session. So it could be a variety of different things. But my point is, if you don't follow through and actually give it a shot, you're not going to make as much benefit. And the thing about homework is this too, if you do the homework, even if you're not successful, I don't know, let's say you're supposed to have a conversation with someone and you have a conversation and you don't feel like it went as well as you would like for it to. That is where coaching comes in. And so these little behavioral experiments or homework assignments that you have in between sessions can become really good content for exploration in the next session. But if you don't do them, then we're not able to do that. So do your homework. You know that. And if you have trouble doing it, then make sure to discuss it with your coach openly and honestly. Okay, so that's it for this video. I hope that you learned some tips that can help you to make your coaching even more successful. As I mentioned, I'm a coach, and so if you would be interested in working with me, then make sure to check out my website at silverliningpsychology.com. You can contact me and we can talk about ways that we might be able to work together. As always, don't forget to like and comment down below if there was anything in the video that resonated with you, and I'll see you in the next video.